Out with the old and in with the new. Bowling Green State University is tearing down the tallest building on campus. Plus, the battle of I-75 continues at the Doit. What to expect from tonight's matchup. And nearly 70% of full-time students at BGSU are vaccinated, but one student received something unique after getting theirs. All of this and more coming up.
Live from the campus of Bowling Green State University.
Good evening and welcome to BG24 News. I'm Macy Austin. As of now, over 2,000 students and staff at BGSU have requested vaccine exemptions. Since the exemption deadline, 80% of the requests were approved. BG Independent reports that almost half of the requests were made for personal reasons, while the rest were religion-based. The deadline to request an exemption was November 1st, though unclear why BGSU is still taking requests. It all starts with one big thud. BGSU started demolition on the 60-year-old administration building today. Straying away from the ordinary demolition techniques, BGSU plans to drop a 30,000-pound wrecking ball on top of the building. The ball will slowly fall through the floors to complete the demolition. The entire process should take approximately 2 weeks. Once the land is clear, construction will start on the Traditions Gateway. Inspiration for the project came from the original gateway built in 1910. The new feature plans to preserve history as well as create new community connections between BGSU and the city residents. With plans to start construction during the spring semester, BGSU plans the new gateway to be finished by fall of 2022. Associate Vice President of Planning, Construction, and Campus Operations, April Smucker, gives us insight on what the new space will look like.
We want to create a park-like setting. You know, we want to build on amenities and character and tradition and history that the campus already has. So we want to create seating areas. There will be a water feature, other types of shade areas, but essentially it's the new welcoming to this side of the campus.
The days of a bumpy road might be coming to an end. A $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill was passed on Friday. Mostly for transportation, the bill also gives money to the nation's water, energy, and broadband systems. The bill will deliver $550 billion over 5 years for projects since America's infrastructure system earned a C- score from the American Society of Civil Engineers earlier this year. Experts say the funding is needed. Some notable investments include $110 billion for roads, bridges, and major infrastructure projects, $39 billion to modernize public transit, and $79 billion to rebuild the electric grid. The Congressional Budget Office finds the bill will add $256 billion to the debt deficit over the next 10 years. But President Biden says the bill won't raise taxes on people making less than $400,000 a year and does not include a gas tax increase. Analysts at the Brookings Institution say it typically takes years to see results from projects like this in our communities. And now let's toss it over to Agatha for the weather. How's the weekend looking for us?
Thanks, Macy. This week we're actually going to be really chilly and windy, and then we might get our first chance of snow this weekend. Tonight we're looking at a high of around 57 degrees, our low about 48, and we do have some high winds from 7 to 9 miles per hour, but not as windy as tomorrow. Tomorrow, hold on to your hats because this Veterans Day we're going to be averaging around 17 miles an hour, getting up to around 34 miles an hour during the daytime. We have our high around 67, our low around 41, and it's likely going to rain before 1 p.m. Moving on to this weekend, we have our high of around 40 degrees on Saturday and our low of 32 degrees that same day. It's going to be mostly cloudy, and then this Sunday we might get some possible snow showers in the morning with our high of 38 and our low of 30. That'll be it for this week's weather report. Back to you, Macy.
Looks like winter's coming. Thanks, Agatha. Your holidays have just gotten louder. On Monday, Governor Mike DeWine signed a bill legalizing the purchasing and launching of fireworks on private property. However, fireworks are only allowed during specific holidays such as around New Year's, 4th of July, and others. The bill also allows individual counties, cities, and townships to create restrictions around fireworks. The bill goes into effect next July. BGSU is introducing a new addition to its campus right outside of Memorial Hall in the Jerome Library. Today, a dedication was held for the university's new Veterans Memorial in Carillon Park. The memorial honors individuals who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces, as well as recognizes the courage, commitment, and sacrifice of fallen students and alumni. Now let's turn it over to Charlie Ryan for the sports. Charlie, what have the Falcons been up to?
Thank you, Macy. It was an eventful week for the BGSU sports. Falcons would start off the weekend Thursday night with men's basketball taking on Fremont State. With 3 freshmen in their starting lineup, the Falcons have a ways to go before they're making noise on the court. Falcons had a slow start Thursday that left them fighting to catch up by halftime. It would not be until late in the game that the Falcons started to figure out some communication on the floor as they rallied together to bring the game into overtime, where their newfound momentum pulled them ahead to a 91-89 victory. Although they lost against Western Carolina last night, they look to bounce back on Friday when they take on Ohio Wesleyan. Over the weekend, the Falcons would take on the Kent State Golden Flashes. On Friday, the Falcons would take 3 sets easily over the Flashes, with Petra Androva leading the offense the entire way. Saturday would prove more difficult, though. After taking the first set 27-25, the Falcons would struggle to win the second. Falcons then took an early lead to sweep the Flashes. Petra Androva would account for over half of the points for the Falcons on the weekend. Falcons are traveling to Athens this weekend to take on the Ohio University Bobcats. And in hockey, the Falcons skated past the St. Thomas Tommies over the weekend. Tommies had a very slow start Friday that allowed the Tommies to get an early lead. The Falcons would get back-to-back goals, though, in the second period from both Austin Swankler and Seth Fighton, as Christopher Collin and Nathan Burke would extend the lead Friday to give the Falcons the 4-2 win. Then on Saturday, the Falcons would continue their win streak with a shutout win 3-0. Head coach Ty Eigner was excited for freshman Christian Stover getting his first shutout.
And so we feel like Christian's just another one of those guys who will give us an opportunity to win every night. And Zach did his job last night, and Christian came in and did a real nice job and played well tonight. So good for him to get the shutout. Good to see it.
Women's soccer faced off against Kent State in the MAC championship on Sunday, defeating the Flashes 3-0. The Falcons took the MAC championship title for the 4th year in a row, with goals from Nikki Cox, Audrey Shea, and Lacey Bethay. They are the first team to win 4 MAC titles in a row since 1997. But goaltender Lily Berg is looking towards the future in the NCAA tournament.
We played some tough teams. We played Michigan, we played Xavier, we've played a bunch of the top-ranked teams in the nation right now. So I think we're just ready to play them again and get a win out there, hopefully.
And Falcon fans, make sure to grab your tickets tonight as the team from the north comes to BG. BG football is hot off a win against Buffalo, but it will be a hard-fought battle against the Rockets, who are number 2 in the Western Division. The keys to the game tonight for the Falcons will be their run game. They have to get it started early. They also have to have that same suffocating defense that they have used all season. For the Rockets, they need to keep an eye on that defense. The second you lose track of them, they'll take you down. And continue to play a deep ball to fight an up-front defense. Falcons are looking to advance their record up to 4-6 on the season. That's all I have for this week's sports. Talons up, Macy.
Thanks, Charlie. Talons up. Get vaccinated or not, a decision we all face. Almost 2/3 of the students at Bowling Green State University got their COVID-19 shot, and for one student, the side effects made it the right decision. Reporter Ethan Watts explains.
19-year-old freshman Anna Fitch knew she always wanted to come to Bowling Green State University.
I applied and I got in, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a visit. So I took a visit and I loved it.
She even knew how she was going to pay for it herself.
I was gonna take out loans, and then after I take out so many loans, I finally graduate. Then 6 months later, I would start paying for those loans.
But other than that, things were uncertain because of the global pandemic.
I didn't want to have to be burdened with wearing a mask and always having to stay my distance away from people and not knowing if my friends were with someone who had COVID.
So to avoid all of that, Anna decided to get vaccinated.
I just want everything to go back to normal, and I really think that this vaccine is the way to do it.
Getting students vaccinated was a large task for universities across America. So BGSU held a contest for students to win prizes if they got their shots. Anna entered the contest, and eventually she got a phone call from university officials.
I was in my dorm and I was playing Minecraft on my PlayStation, and I get a call, and I'm like, I don't know who this is, so I didn't answer. And then they called me back a few minutes later, and I'm like, okay, hello. And they're like, hi, is this Anna Fitch? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, President Rogers wants to talk to you. And I'm like, President Rogers wants to talk to me? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, is it good or bad? And they're like, oh, trust me, it's very good.
You have won the grand prize, and the grand prize is in-state tuition and instructional fees for your college career here at Bowling Green State University.
Right after that, I called my mom, called my dad right away, and I'm like, oh my God, I won.
And she, started explaining to me what happened. And, I'm telling her, oh, that's great. And she said, I don't really know the details. I said, well, Annie, if it's just one semester, it's great. But then it turns out that it was, 4 years worth.
4 years of free tuition. Now Anna can forget all about taking out thousands of dollars worth in student loans.
Now that I don't have to, I just think I'm gonna more focus on saving for later on in life when I'm thinking about having children and getting married and stuff like that.
The kind of stuff we all dream about, and the result of a decision which we all have to make.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so glad I came here.
For BG24 News, I'm Ethan Watts.
What a great story to end on. Thanks, Ethan. That's all for today's news. Thank you for joining us. For more news updates, follow us on social media at BG24 TV or go to bgfalconmedia.com. We'll see you next week.